I want people to see that I'm trying to live a meaningful life. People start out as kids and they're wide-eyed and they have all of these dreams and aspirations about who they'd like to be when they're older. And for some reason, everybody at some point gets crushed out of those dreams. I want to be a force for good in my community and to give that sense of inspiration to every single kid that was like me when I was younger. Wide-eyed, hopeful to make an impact in the world, and concerned with what type of legacy they'll leave behind when they're no longer a part of it.
Welcome back to the show, Schmoozers. If you're watching this, you may notice that this is the first time that I'm doing an in-person episode here in New York City. Pretty excited about this. I'm so grateful that you're tuning into this week's episode of the podcast. It's going to be a good one. I want to make sure everybody's following the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you're listening to this episode on. It means a lot to me that you follow the show so that you'll never miss new episodes that could be in person as well. So make sure you're following the show. The question of this episode is, do we really need another coffee company? It seems like people today are either addicted to their Starbucks or are super reliant on their Nespresso machines at home. So the question is, why do entrepreneurs keep launching new coffee brands? Well, my guest today has a powerful answer to that question. He's sacrificing everything to build a coffee brand with the sole mission of supporting Israel and uniting the Jewish people. He's an entrepreneur, two-time author, deep conversation enthusiast, and of course, a proud Jew. Please welcome to the show, Iron Dome Coffee founder, Justin Yehuda. Justin, how are we doing today, brother?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
You know, it's not only an exciting day for me because this is the first in-person episode that I'm ever doing, but you just launched pre-order today, man. How are we feeling about that? Like, are you stressing, checking your phone? Like, what's good with that?
Honestly, man, yeah, I'm checking my phone a lot, but seeing all the orders coming in is just a dream come true. I mean, the community is behind me. That's clear.
Absolutely, man. So why don't you give us a quick intro? I know I sporadically went through who you are. You're an author. You're a new entrepreneur. Proud Jew. You started this coffee brand. Give us like a 2 to 3 minute elevator pitch, as I like to call it, about who Justin Yehuda really is.
Okay, wow, that's a great question and a great way to start this off, right? So I think if I were to describe myself quickly, I'm a person who wants to live a deeply meaningful life. I want to have a legacy. I want to inspire people because when I was younger, it was very easy to inspire me. And there are so many people and role models that I've had in my life that made me feel like I can do anything. And unlike most people that I know and most people out there in the world, as an adult, I still believe I can do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's evident in everything I try to set out to do. I want to have a lasting impact in the world. And you can't do that by staying inside of the box. So for my entire life, I've been the type of person who has liked to venture out into deep water and to see what things are like in a non-traditional sense. With that being said, that's kind of led me in a whole bunch of different directions, including my coffee company. And in particular, on October 7th, I was just devastated, as most of the community was, obviously. I have so many family members in Israel. That's where my heritage lies. And even right now, I have about 5 active members of my family that are currently serving. Wow. And, living in America and seeing the horrors of October 7th, and then also seeing how the world reacts in such a poor fashion, you just feel guilty for not being a part of it. And it consumed me every single day. And that's really what inspired me to get involved with Iron Dome Coffee. I want to unite the community around the 2 things we love the most: support for Israel and delicious coffee. And I'm launching in about 2 to 3 weeks. I launched those pre-orders today. And from what it's looking like, I'm going to be very happy with how it turns out. So it's been really a dream come true to this point.
Yeah, man. I think you talked there a lot about kind of your connection to Israel. But part of being Jewish is also not necessarily the Israel component of it, right? Israel is a very big part of who Jewish people are. It's our country. But part of it is you, like you said, you have family in Israel, but you're living in America now. So I know we talked about this kind of offline in our various conversations, but you don't really consider yourself, you are Israeli, your heritage is Israeli, but you don't consider yourself an Israeli Jew necessarily. You consider yourself an American Jew.
Right, an American Jew with an Israeli heritage.
So let me ask you, most people like you that have family from Israel and that have family still there would consider themselves an Israeli Jew. Why are you different?
Well, I think it's because this is the culture that I grew up with. This is the culture that I grew up in. And, I'm familiar with American music, American mannerisms more than the Israeli ones. That being said, I still love the Israeli ones more than anything. But it's not the culture that I grew up with. And I don't think that's necessary to love Israel and to support Israel. I'm deeply invested in Jewish culture, which is visible throughout the entire world. You can be in any city, in any country, and you can find a minyan. You can find people to talk with about basic Jewish values. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with not, people might say, oh, he should be more, of an Israeli. He should claim that identity more. I love that part of my identity. And it's something that I wouldn't trade for the world. It's just evident to me that this is the culture that I grew up in. This is the language that I speak. This is my home. That being said, like many people and like most American Jews, we still love Israel and we can love and support Israel from afar. That's part of what I'm trying to build too. I think it's people think, oh, you have to be connected to Israel to feel like a supporter. That's not true. You just need to care about it. And I think for the Jewish community in America, that's true anyways. So, yeah, representing the American Jews.
I like that answer. I think there's something to be said about Jews living in America today. It's definitely not easy. And I had Hillel Fold on my podcast a couple episodes ago. And for those that aren't familiar with Hillel, he's big thought leader on Israel. He makes the argument that you should make aliyah. Like, Jewish people need to make aliyah. And as somebody that has family in Israel now, living in America, which quite frankly, it's not the easiest to be a Jew, right? Like, we have to go so out of our way to, and again, I'm talking about outside of New York City. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You probably wouldn't know that because you're from here. But outside of New York City, like for me, living in Baltimore, even though Baltimore is a huge Jewish population, like I still have to go so far out of my way to get kosher food, etc. So my question to you is, I know it's hard sometimes to be a Jew in America. It's probably a little bit easier to be a Jew in Israel. Do you ever consider making aliyah, or is that not even a thought that you've had?
It's a good question. It's something I think about all the time. I love Israel. And when I go there, I do recognize that it's my home. I feel at home there. And that's not just some cliche. It's the fact that I can wear my Magen David out with pride. And I don't fear getting attacked and I don't fear getting looked at differently. That's a really beautiful feeling that you can only find in Israel. And people who don't have a Jewish background might not understand that. Being a Jew in the world, especially in the diaspora, what we call places outside of Israel, is scary. It has always been scary. But making aliyah is something I think about, but it's likely something I won't do because I do want to be a voice for people outside of Israel, showing their support for Israel. Because that's really, that's the way I was raised. This is my identity. And like I said, I'm an American. I want to galvanize the American Jewish community, and I want to give them a way to support Israel, to feel proud of their support for Israel. And I know there's so many people. You don't even need to be Jewish. It's very true to support Israel. So I want to just unite this community and do something beautiful together.
And you talked about wearing your Magen David. I know we're both. It's funny. We both walked in the room, and Justin and I both have the same setup.
Great minds think alike. Yeah,
the Magen David and the Bring Them Home necklace. But let me, you're a deep guy. You've wrote a couple books. I think to say you're philosophical is an understatement.
Thank you.
What does it really mean to you to be a proud Jew? Like, is it really enough to just walk around with a necklace that says "Bring Them Home" with a Magen David? What does it really mean to you to be a proud Jew?
Wow. So, I could talk about this for hours. And there are two things that it means to me. The first is to be unafraid of your identity. I think something that's so prevalent in society today is you see Jewish people disconnecting from their Jewish identity. Why? Because other people look at us differently, especially with all of the stereotypes against Israel that are false and awfully accusatory. People look at Jews and connect them to these negative stereotypes, and just right off the bat, you now have people looking at Jewish people differently all through society. So a lot of people disconnect with that. And in a vacuum, while I do understand that, I think it's wrong. I think it's a call for you to embrace your Jewish identity even more, because it's not on us to change what other people think of us. It's just us. It's on us to continue to be who we are, no matter what is happening. And if you look through history, you would find times where people sacrificed even their lives for the sake of being proud Jews. And I respect it. I respect it because your identity is something that should matter to you. Your life should be about something. And, for me, it's my Jewish identity. It's my passion for Israel. There are many things like that. It's just people are trading that in for nothing. And I think that's a grave mistake. You need to have some sort of identity that you cling to. And the next thing is, what does it really mean to be a proud Jew? This is my personal belief, but a Jewish person is someone who gives. This is how I was raised. And that's a shout to my community, right? A Jewish person is someone who gives without expecting anything in return. Why? Because we used to assemble the greatest thinkers in a room and talk about life. That is really what Jewish culture is based on. They had the rabbis, right, the sages, and they got all the smartest people in a room, and they thought about how to live your life. And that to me is very interesting. I almost wish for a moment I could be a fly on the wall in a previous time and see those types of philosophical discussions. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And what is my answer? It's to give without expecting in return. And I think that's true for all human beings. To be a proud Jew, to be a proud member of the world, the highest level of human existence is to give without expecting in return. And that's the type of message that I want to share with the community, because that's what was shared with me when I was a kid. And you see, as people grow up, they tend to trade that in for greed and power. This is just the typical human way of life, especially as people grow older and they put pressure on themselves. They want to achieve things. But what about being things? What about being a certain type of human being? That's the type of thing that will really give you the greatest legacy of all. And that's the type of thing that I think about every day.
You talk about being a certain type of human being. And I think for you, I don't mean this in a offending way, but let's just say you're not the typical stereotypical Jewish guy in his 20s, right? You're not really that typical guy that maybe goes into finance, right out of college, or goes into banking or whatever. You decided to choose entrepreneurship at a young age, right? And that's scary. You talk about being unafraid.
Yeah.
So why'd you have an education from Cornell, you've written 2 books, yet you decide to do something completely unrelated to those 2 things, if I would argue, and start a coffee brand. So why'd you do that?
Well, the real answer is that after October 7th, I needed to do something for Israel. And I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial kick to me. Why? Because the thing about entrepreneurs is that they try very hard to be different. They try very hard to be unique. They try very hard to be special. These are all things that I've been trying to do anyway. And if I can connect that to my passion for Israel, it'd be a home run, and it would make my life feel very fulfilling. That being said, why coffee, right? I think that's what you want to get at.
Yeah.
Right? Why am I doing this particular thing?
Yeah, why coffee?
At this point, I'm wired 24/7. I'm drinking 5 cups of coffee a day, no big deal. But I figured, what is a way that I can unite the community around something we can do every day, something basic, something small, that means a lot in the long run? Because it is those little things that you do every day that make your life special. The smell of coffee has always been a thing for everyone. That's a timeless joy. And there has been, from a technical standpoint, a large shift away from the traditional brands, Starbucks, Dunkin'. People are basically beginning to admit that these are basic
garbage brands.
Yeah, garbage, right? And there has been a huge shift to this coffee with a cause model, to the point where everybody's getting involved in it, and they're all succeeding. And it's crazy. You're like, why? Why are they all succeeding? It's true with everything. The rise of social media has completely changed the world. And yes, I say the rise of social media because it's been a thing forever. I remember when Instagram came out. We're old, man, you know?
We're old.
And now it's just reached an entirely new level to the point where if you're starting a business or if you have a business, the best strategy for you to succeed, no matter who you are, no matter what field you're in, is to be active on social media and to build a committed following. And I realized that. You know, I just saw it and I figured, hey, the coffee space is going crazy. Mm-hmm. There isn't any product that is in the Jewish community. I have this desire to do something meaningful for us. Mm-hmm. It just makes perfect sense. And yeah, I mean, I went from maybe 1 cup a day type of guy to I just need it now.
I listen. I used to be in the same boat as you, where coffee would really. I mean, I'd wake up and I would need coffee right away, and I guess like follow up to that is clearly people have coffee addictions. Right?
Yeah.
You have a coffee addiction.
Perhaps.
So I know Iron Dome Coffee, which we'll get into in a second, has a good cause to it, right? You're trying to essentially twofold, support Israel, unite the Jewish community.
Right.
But how do you feel going into an area of business where you're producing not only a product that people, I would even argue, overspend on, but it's also addictive, right? Caffeine, we know by nature is addictive. And what it does to your body is not good. And we're both hypocrites standing up here saying that like we drink coffee all the time, which like I get it. But for somebody like you that you talk about being giving, right? Like that's who you are as a person.
Yeah.
You trying to give people a caffeine addiction? Like what are you doing here?
That's funny, right? I mean, from what I've done and from the research that I've conducted on my own, it seems that coffee is actually very healthy for you and it can lead to a long and healthy life.
Okay.
This is, coffee is prevalent throughout so many cultures. Even I watched a great documentary recently about the history of coffee, and it was debated amongst religious leaders. Is this something we want to include in our society? Mm-hmm. And just, it stood the test of time because it makes life better and it doesn't seem to have a negative effect on your long-term health, on your. I've heard people that have even credited their long lifespan to having a whole bunch of coffee because it keeps them sharp. Listen, that to me is almost besides the point because I clearly think coffee is healthy for you. I think it's not. Of all the addictions you can have, this one is pretty high on the list of not going to destroy your life. And I think it has upped my productivity like crazy. Now, to answer that first part of your question with the giving component, 10% of our proceeds are going to organizations that are helping wounded soldiers in Israel, Israeli citizens, and supporters of Israel from abroad. And that's a pretty substantive amount for a for-profit company. We're not a nonprofit company. We're a coffee company. We're a lifestyle brand. So to give that much is proof that I'm really as invested into this giving part as possible. And it's not just a gimmick to get people to buy my coffee. This is how I want to live my life.
Mm-hmm. You talk about building a brand and almost like a community, right?
Yeah.
And I think every kind of coffee brand has their typical community. Starbucks has their persona of who walks in there, gets a drink. Dunkin', right? A little bit on the less expensive side. Those are maybe I always say Dunkin's good for a nice hangover. Like if you have a nasty hangover, like
does
Dunkin',
Dunkin'
because it's also like it gives you the shakes and everything. It literally, the caffeine addiction literally shakes the hangover out of you. It's actually pretty amazing. So with Iron Dome Coffee, you don't want to just target any Jew or any
Supporter
Zionist
of Israel, right? Yeah, any Zionist.
Who's your ideal coffee drinker? Like, who do you, like, let's be real.
Yeah.
Who do you want drinking your coffee? Like, do you want people that are a little bit supportive of Israel drinking your coffee? Do you want people that are, really dati, really religious drinking your coffee? Like, who is your ideal coffee drinker?
Yeah, so that's the thing. It almost, to me, it matters in a way that I want the community to be proud, obviously, of their support for Israel, but it almost doesn't matter. Perhaps this is a way to invite people into a community that supports Israel. I don't care. I just want this to be sipped by people who love Israel, who are interested in supporting Israel. This, to me, is a community. I want to build a community. And it doesn't matter to me what religious level you are, how you express your faith or your support for Israel, as long as you do. This is for people who do. This is for people who support Israel. And the way they do that is irrelevant to me, because I would be thrilled to hear a story of somebody who started drinking Iron Dome coffee, maybe even by accident, and then they learned about what it was about. And now they have a connection to Israel because of that. That would be a dream come true.
Mm-hmm. You're building this coffee brand from the ground up. This is an idea that hasn't existed before.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you started this venture, 7 months ago? A little bit?
Just about, yeah.
7 months ago. Okay. So for 7 months, 24/7, you've been working on building this coffee brand. Took you 7 months to launch, right? Between coming up with the idea or getting the idea till now, where you started the pre-launch and you're about to launch finally in a couple of weeks. I mean, in between that time span, there must have been some crazy stories that happened, whether it was reaching out to people or just crazy coincidences that happen. I know you've gotten in touch with a lot of creators.
Yeah.
Maybe tell us a little bit about that 7-month journey of you grinding to literally build nothing. Like Iron Dome coffee to 7 months ago wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thought. It wasn't whatever. So tell us about that process and some crazy stuff that's happened.
Sure. I mean, so DK, if I told you start a company right now, would you know what to do?
Absolutely not.
Neither did I. Right? People think I was like, oh, I know exactly the formula how to build the best company in the world. No, I had no idea. And this was actually really exciting to me because I love solving problems. I love getting creative. And a lot of my friends are entrepreneurial anyway. So I had a great supporting cast of people who, if I really had a question that stumped me, I could ask them. But everything that you want to know is online. Mm-hmm. I pay $20 a month for ChatGPT. And the craziest thing in the world is that it's like having the best assistant in the world. And when I first started that company, I was literally like, what do I need to do to start a company? Swear. And it would tell you everything you need to do. And then it's about your ability to execute, your ability to do these things. All of the paperwork and lawyers, I had no idea. I mean, listen, I figured, right? I've heard these stories before, but wow, it's a lot. Mm-hmm. And I have learned, just like anything you don't know how to do, I've gone through each step with a degree of, almost aimlessness. I'm just like, all right, I have no idea what I even want from this step of the company. Is this the direction I want to go in? Is that the direction I want to go in? The only constant, and I guess the craziest story, has been the support from the community. I've gone back to communities that I've grown up in. I've met new people. The people I've met have been unbelievable. And it's because they have been supportive. And the story of both the Jewish community and the broader pro-Israel community gets shunned like crazy in public. And it's scary to be that type of face in public because I'm getting a crazy amount of backlash. And I knew that going in. I'm not afraid of that. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people are. So seeing the support that you get from the community makes me feel like I'm on top of the world. And I can wake up every single day for the rest of my life and continue to do this because it just means the world to me. So any particular crazy story, I don't know. It has been just mostly staying up really deep into the AMs and just grinding.
Right.
And I guess the funny part is, using AI to my benefit because there's no reason not to. People look at it as cheating. I look at it as using a thesaurus to write good sentences if the word that you're trying to come up with is slipping your mind. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no reason why your AI shouldn't look over an email and check for grammar mistakes. There's no reason why you shouldn't ask it, what paperwork do I need to fill in for my company? Why, like, what is the legal steps that I need to take care of? What should I do when X happens? This is a tool for your benefit. And I think that the people who don't use AI are going to fall behind the people who do. The same way that writers who didn't use a thesaurus fell behind the ones who did. Mm-hmm. Use technology to your benefit. I can talk about this for hours. I'm a big chess player. I play competitively in everything. And the reason that chess players of this era are so far ahead of the ones from the previous era is because they can play online and they can review their games with computers. Use the technology that's available to you and use it to do good things.
So I actually it's funny we're talking about AI here because I just started to work on an AI team for my company. And it's funny because I was listening to this webinar on Tuesday, and this economist who predicted the housing bubble said that in a couple of decades, 30-ish years, I think he said, unemployment rate is going to be 80%.
Yeah.
And that scares me a little bit, right?
Sure.
The capability that AI has, and I've now began to see, I mean, after a week of being on this team, like I can see what AI really, really has the capability to do.
Right.
It's very scary. So looking ahead, you're in the coffee industry for the long run, right?
Yes,
like
absolutely.
You are, for lack of a better term, you are balls deep in the coffee industry.
Yeah, let's go with that.
How do you anticipate AI changing coffee specifically?
Oh, I cannot wait to see what it does with the flavor. This thing is I mean, it's already...
Wait, you think AI will change? Wait, you think AI will be able to like predict what flavor people like, or what?
It will be able to quantify it in a way that even the best scientists in the world... I think it's going to get crazy. Yeah, I really do. The same with food, engineered food. These, I mean, look, the world is definitely changing. I want to be part of that wave that's rising. Mm-hmm. And in terms of coffee, I mean, listen, it's already so scientific, the way that they come up with the coffee. My beans come through an Israeli supplier, right? Mm-hmm. I partnered with an Israeli supplier, ensuring that each cup has an authentic connection to Israel.
Right.
And where do they get their beans? Throughout South America. Mm-hmm. And, most of mine are particularly from Brazil, and I find them delicious, right? What if you gave these people the technology to test it out? What if you just injected a whole bunch of AI into research and development? Crazy. I'm sure you would come up with some crazy tasting coffee, and I'm sure that you would be able to cut costs in a lot of ways too. So you would get more of your coffee. It would be likely better if they, over time, if they continue to experiment with it, and they would pay less money to get it. So I think, yes, in many ways it is scary. I think AI and technology is the most powerful weapon in the world, and it just boils down to who's holding that weapon.
Here's my problem with coffee now.
Yeah.
No matter what AI does to it, the flavor, the this, the that, I would say 99% of the coffee that I drink in America tastes like dirt water.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Gross.
It is Starbucks, Dunkin'. I get it because I need the caffeine. It's disgusting.
It's gross.
And also, you're playing with a little bit of fire here.
How so?
Because Israelis love their coffee. You know that too.
Love it.
But they like the Turkish coffee. How are you, flavor is obviously the most important thing in coffee.
100%.
I don't think that's even debatable. Sure, people can debate caffeine content, whatever.
Coffee. That's step
one. You
one.
need flavor. So how is Iron Dome coffee, how is the taste marketably different than other coffee brands?
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, it's the basic answer is that you'd have to taste it to find out, because it's hard to explain the taste. I know for sure that it's better. And why? Because I tasted about 200 different coffees before.
Wow.
I really did my due diligence, and I picked the best one.
You did this as due diligence, or you did this because you want to rehash your caffeine addiction?
Okay, well, I listen. I didn't have that caffeine addiction beforehand, but I will tell you, this is, I guess, here's the funny story that you're asking for, right? Okay. How did I find this coffee? I tasted coffee from everywhere. And like you said, how are you going to compete with this otherworldly taste that is you find in Israel and that you find? That's my job. That's basically, when I started this company, it's like, Justin, your job is to first, step one, find really good coffee. Because if you don't have good coffee, it's game over, right? And I think to me, this is the best. So what did I do? I found a whole bunch of different suppliers. It's important to me that the coffee was kosher. This coffee is kosher. So I basically tasted just about every single cup of coffee that was kosher, and being able to produce it on a mass scale as I possibly could.
Yeah.
And a funny story is that I brought all my friends over. I even had like a professional taster and all this stuff just to really see how my opinion different from theirs. And the craziest thing about that is at one point I'm sitting on my own couch, completely tweaking because I'm so caffeinated beyond imagination. And I'm like, it's for the company. It's for the company. It's for the company. And I step up and I drink the next one and I have to make a, unbiased assessment of that coffee. So yeah, that week was just absolutely crazy because I was just tweaking beyond imagination. But what came out of that was the best coffee around, in my opinion. And I think people, when they get to try it, they'll think the same thing.
I'm excited. It sounds like you hazed yourself there. I mean, normally I feel like
it's for the company, bro. You know what I mean? Ethan knows this. Ethan's in the background here. Shout out to Ethan.
He's our assistant today. Yep. Junior year, I dead ass thought I had a heart attack because I drink so much coffee. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. So imagine that and then tell yourself it's for the company and then step up to the plate and drink another cup of coffee. So that's, yeah. I mean, it's just, when the final result just reflects on you alone, you put your everything into it. If people tasted a bad cup of coffee, they'd be like, Justin's coffee company sucks. And that would suck. Yeah.
How do you explain what Iron Dome coffee is to an Israeli? I feel like when they see Iron Dome, they look at the logo and they're like, what is this? Is this coffee gonna protect missiles? No. What's the deal with the coffee? How do you explain that to an Israeli?
Sure. So Iron Dome coffee to an Israeli is our mission to support you from abroad. So we are going to make American Jews, diaspora Jews, everyone, even Israelis, if they'd like to, we send there too. We are going to get every supporter of Israel from around the world to feel proud of who they are as a person. And a large percentage of each sale is going to go and help your soldiers, help your citizens. We are helping you from abroad. And that's the business model. We are going to help you from abroad. And, my family in Israel, which is, my dad is one of 6 and I have about 25, 26 cousins. So there's a big, there's a big team over there. And I also have so many friends and just so many things. And they all are, they're so excited to see what we can do because they know that people are ready to support Israel from abroad. They know that this is something we've always wanted to do, but there haven't been so many outlets for us to do it unless they are one-time big things like donating to a nonprofit once or showing up at an event. You can put in a Keurig cup every single day into the machine that has a Magen David on it, the centerpiece of the Israeli flag. And you can feel proud of who you are every single day, even if it's only for 10 seconds. And that's the type of thing I'm trying to build.
You're 7 months into this,
yes.
And coffee is, here's the 15 seconds of my episode where I get anti-Semitic. I do this every episode.
All right.
Us Jews, we are very stingy. We're very stingy about the taste, about the food, about our money, about this, about that. Coffee, forget about it. It's a whole other level. So how are you mentally preparing? Let's say I'm drinking this coffee right here.
Yeah.
Take a sip of it. I'm not going to spit it out because I'm not trying to get kicked out of this podcast studio. But let's say I spit it all over you.
Yeah.
How are you going to mentally prepare for that?
Sure. Listen, I'm trying to sell this to as many people as possible. And I know that not everyone is going to be as enthusiastic about it as me. That's something I can anticipate. But the clear answer is that there are 7 different blends that you can try. I believe that there's something for everyone. And the big point of that is you say, oh, this community tends to be pretty particular with their coffee. That should tell you how hard I tried to find the absolute best coffee around. Because I know that. Of course I know that. So it was so important to me to get good coffee to the point where even when I'm caffeinated beyond imagination, I'm still trying to see, hey, what's the best coffee around? Because I know that. And I think I completely accomplished that. I think people will drink this coffee every day and think that it tastes good. I think they'll feel proud of who they are when they'll drink it. And if some people don't like it, I would encourage them to try other flavors that we have because we are continuing to just add on flavors and flavors. We're going to get to tea very soon. We're going to get to hot chocolate very soon. There's going to be something for everyone. I know that for sure. And quality is, it's just clearly the priority for me.
I love it. We've talked a lot about your coffee company, Iron Dome Coffee.
Iron Dome.
We talked a little bit about you, but there's two parts to this podcast. There's the Jewish identity part, and there's the personal branding part, which is what we're about to get to right now.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the experience you want Iron Dome Coffee to have on people, or the impact that you want Iron Dome Coffee to have on people.
Right.
What about you? As I mentioned, you've written 2 books. You started Iron Dome Coffee. You're now posting a bunch of content online. What is the experience that you want people to have when Justin Yehuda walks in the room or Justin Yehuda shows up on their feed?
Okay, that's a great question. And that's it's something I think about quite often. I want people to see that I'm trying to live a meaningful life. People forget about this. People start out as kids and they're wide-eyed and they have all of these dreams and aspirations about who they'd like to be when they're older. And for some reason, everybody at some point gets crushed out of those dreams. Only a few people recover. Only a few people as adults say, you know what, I'd still like to pursue the things that I have dreamed about when I was a kid. And I'm one of the lucky ones who just happened to make it to an adult, and I'm willing to pursue my dreams unapologetically and wholeheartedly. And when I was a kid, I always loved and respected adults like that, be it the rabbi of my community, who I loved like family, different musicians who, became big based on their message to be yourself and to, do what you believe in, no matter what it was. And especially having 2 loving parents who always supported me with whatever I did. I realized how fortunate I was to have those things, and I want to be a force for good in my community and to give that sense of inspiration to every single kid that was like me when I was younger, wide-eyed, hopeful to make an impact in the world, and concerned with what type of legacy they'll leave behind when they're no longer a part of it.
That's a good answer. I've been throwing some curveballs at you today, Justin. So I'll give you an easy one for the final question.
Yeah.
You're doing so much already, man. Like again, as I mentioned, you're already on a great path, and me personally, I'm fully bought in by your coffee business, and I've even asked to invest in it. He politely, I know when I was like, yeah, let me invest in it. You're like, change the subject.
Perhaps not.
Yeah, you're like that to me. It's bad. It's bad on my end because I know I'd make a good ROI on that, but also you're really invested in yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
So you're going to be successful regardless, and you obviously have a long way to go. Mm-hmm. But I guess, when is it going to be enough for you? When are you going to be like, I'm satisfied with my life?
Yeah, it's so clear to me. It's been on my mind really since I was a kid, and I can't make this up. Everything I've done in my life has served as proof of this. I want to be the type of person that is held up by their community for making a positive impact in it. And I only wonder what the world would be like if other people wanted to do that too. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even necessarily need to be in, the Jewish community or the broader pro-Israel community. I love it in any community anywhere when people try to tell their story to the world, because this is how progress gets made. There's so many people out there who tell their story. There's no better method than through art, which is why I've written forever. The paper has a certain way of understanding you, and people have a certain way of understanding you too when they watch you express yourself. So I would like to do that on the highest level one day. Mm-hmm. That's been my dream. I want people to be inspired by the type of work that I do. This has been my lifelong goal. This has been my dream, and it will be enough for me when that gets done.
Good answer. That's a great way to really end things. And I know I wouldn't make the trip out to New York for anybody, Justin. When you reached out to me, you were very energetic, and you really matched my passion. And I think this episode really lived up to it. But before we officially hit stop recording, where can people find you on social media, learn about Iron Dome Coffee, learn about your books? Like, give yourself a plug real quick.
Sure. Yeah. So on all platforms, I'm just at Iron Dome Coffee. For my book stuff, I'm at 34 Justin Author. And follow me everywhere. I want to say to you though, DK, it's been such a pleasure to become your friend and to just be on this podcast is unbelievable. I feel like this is such a crazy moment for me just to be here, and it's really all because of you. And I love what you're doing. I think you're going to crush it. If you stick with this, you're going to be as big as Rogan, man.
You're a funny guy.
So I really love what you're doing, and I really appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah, man, of course. Well, we got to do this again because like this was pretty easy. So make sure we're following Justin on the socials. No reason not to. He's posting some good Israel content too. And the other one was 34 Justin.
34 Justin Author.
34. Why 34?
It was my basketball number, man.
Oh.
Yeah, you had a special connection. Yeah. Well,
you hoop like that? You're good?
I mean, I was okay.
Okay. What level did you make it to in high school?
I started on the team, which was good. I mean,
varsity?
Varsity.
Okay. Public or private?
Public. And I was the power forward. And as you can see, I'm not exactly built like a power forward.
How tall are you? 6'1"?
5'11" on a good day. 6 foot on Hinge, you know.
There you go. So, also, any nice Jewish girls out there? This kid's kind of cute too. He's a good looking guy. He's about to be really rich. So I'm plugging your Hinge too. All seriousness, make sure we share the show, guys, and also make sure you're following Schmoozing Time. You want to see
Schmoozing Time.
First time that this podcast was in person? Like, come on. Don't leave me hanging here. Like I came all the way to New York City. I took a 5:30 a.m. train to get here, and you're not going to share this episode?
Man's putting the work in,
you.
Guys. You got to respect it when someone's putting the work in.
Exactly.
Help them,
Exactly.
These are the people who deserve it.
I'm so glad you enjoyed this week's episode of Schmoozing Time. Thank you so much for tuning in. In addition to sharing this episode with someone, make sure you follow on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube Shorts. Also, make sure you're following the show on Apple Podcasts and or Spotify. Until next time, keep schmoozing.